All right. Hello, everyone. Those of you who have been with us before, welcome back. And those of you who have joined us newly, welcome to today's webinar titled How SCiNiTO AI Can Help Researchers Write and Publish Scientific Articles. So, my name is Reza Hatifi. I am the sales representative of SCiNiTO AI here at Notion Wave, and I am delighted to be with all of you here today. For those of you who are unfamiliar with us at Notion Wave or SCiNiTO AI, I will be giving a brief introduction to both of those in a little bit. Now, as for what's on today's agenda, we'll be starting by taking a brief look at who we are as a company here at Notion Wave and our product portfolio. We'll then move on to a brief introduction of what SCiNiTO AI is. And if you are interested to get a little bit more of an in-depth look at SCiNiTO AI and look at all of its features in action, then feel free to check out our previous webinar from last month on SCiNiTO on the YouTube channel called SCiNiTO AI, where data and AI facilitate research. Next up, we'll be taking a look at the various challenges that researchers may be facing when it comes to writing and publishing scientific articles, as the title of this webinar suggests. And of course, thereafter, we're going to take a look at how SCiNiTO AI can help researchers in those challenges. We will then get into a couple of smaller but interesting notes about research in general, and we'll see the incorporation of AI in a lot of different areas in this modern age and see what that may mean for research and researchers. And finally, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the very end where I'll try and answer as many of your questions as I can. Now, some housekeeping rules before I actually get into the presentation. All microphones will be muted, as is the case with webinars. Throughout the webinar, you can use the Q&A function to put in your questions and ask whatever questions you may have. And at the end, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session, and I'll get to your questions. And finally, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be emailed to all of the people who registered. Now, moving on to the company profile, who we are as Notion Wave. Let me introduce ourselves. Notion Wave is an edtech company. We started in Toronto, Canada in 2012. And over the years, we've successfully expanded territories and established offices in the UAE and Egypt as well. We are aiming to become leaders in edtech innovation, transforming education and research with cutting-edge AI-driven solutions that inspire and enable all learners. We aim to stand at the frontier of the education and academic communities, putting teachers, learners, and researchers' needs first. Our approach integrates the latest achievements in artificial intelligence, ensuring that our solutions are adaptable and effective in meeting the diverse needs of the education community and the academic community in general as well. Now, moving on to our product portfolio, I'd like to introduce them to you, some of which are in the education industry and some of which are not. If you are interested in any of these, feel free to book meetings with us or get in contact with us and the rest of our team, and we'll be happy to have a discussion with you. But we here at Notion Wave offer a range of solutions, from AI-driven online exam maker with DoExam to Pubnido, which is a digital publishing platform for ebooks, a learning management system that is based on OpenEdX, which is EdSpirit, the discovery of knowledge based on artificial intelligence from TroWeb, and of course, what we'll be talking about and focusing on today, which is SCiNiTO, a research toolkit based on a large database with AI incorporations. Now, allow me to give you a brief introduction to SCiNiTO AI. What is it? You may be asking. Well, it's a platform which gives a modern research experience, a 360-degree research toolkit using a very large and consolidated data source, as well as incorporating the power of AI into that. Basically, what that means is that it allows you to expedite a lot of your research and the processes therein by using various tools to explore this very large database, which, by the way, indexes over 250 million scholarly works, and with over 56 million of that being open access, completely open access. Some of the features that can help you with your research process, I'll go over very quickly, include a very in-depth search function with many filtering options that you can use to pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. The journal recommender, which can help you find what journal fits whatever article you're working on best, but its uses are not limited to just that, as we'll actually see in today's webinar. And a dedicated AI chat that can answer many of your questions, whatever they may be, based on the data source at hand. So it's not like a normal AI that just gives you an answer. It bases it on the data source it has, which is scholarly, and therefore it'll also give you references as to where it exactly found those answers. There are also some collaboration tools that can help you and your peers work together more efficiently and cooperate on your scientific work. But once again, if you are interested in everything I mentioned and SCiNiTO AI, an introduction to it, I recommend you can check out our webinar from last month. But now that I have given you an introduction to SCiNiTO AI, let's actually move on to some challenges that researchers might be facing right now when it comes to both writing and also publishing their works. Of course, we'll be taking a look here at how SCiNiTO AI can therefore help them, but it's good to know the challenges that are being faced first. Now, when it comes to the peer review process, it can be very stringent. Very high impact journals often have very rigorous peer review standards, which really need researchers to submit well-written, original, and thoroughly researched work. Rejections from these can be due to the lack of novelty, methodological errors, or insufficient evidence to really support the work. Next up is the journal selection. Researchers might be struggling to find the most suitable journal for their work to submit it to. Some journals really focus on niche topics or specific methods and methodologies, and submitting to the wrong journal can very much lead to immediate rejection. Next up is issues when it comes to the formatting and technical requirements. Every journal has its own formatting guidelines and technical submission requirements, which can be time-consuming and complex. Failure to follow these guidelines due to lack of time or knowledge can often lead to rejection or delays in the publication process as well. The revision process is also very time-consuming. Even after maybe the initial acceptance, reviewers may request multiple rounds of revisions of the work that was submitted, which can take really months to address.
Recording
Researchers
stopped.
often need to revise the peers structure, perform additional experiments, or really clarify their arguments. Next up is the challenge of competition. High impact journals can receive a large number of submissions, and acceptance rates can be very low due to that, making everything very competitive. There are, of course, a lot of ethical concerns and plagiarism. I've been mentioning the feature of the AI chat when it comes to SCiNiTO, as well as the word AI a lot. But we'll actually get to how SCiNiTO will not help you directly and will ethically be completely fine when it comes to research, but it will just be an assistant to you. And of course, plagiarism can immediately lead to rejection. We'll also take a look at how SCiNiTO can help you even avoid potentially unintentional plagiarism. And finally, language barriers. There are a lot of non-native English speakers who are facing challenges in writing papers that need to meet the linguistic standards that are required by top international journals. If you are a researcher yourself, some of these issues might have sounded familiar. I know I've faced some of them even researching in my master's degree. But now that we know these challenges and we know what researchers are facing, let's take a look at how SCiNiTO can actually help and maybe alleviate some of these various issues. So we will be taking a look at how SCiNiTO AI can help in literature review and be in research assistance to you, how it can help in data analysis and visualization, how it can help in journal selection and submission, how it can help in collaboration and workflow management, and how it can even help in the post-publication phase and give you information. So, starting by literature review and it being a research assistant, SCiNiTO AI can very much and very quickly scan the large database that it has at its disposal of scientific papers, works, conference meetings, conference hearings, and it can maybe even summarize relevant literature that you might be looking for. This can expedite the literature review process by a very high factor. And by saving time, you could be spending that time in other areas of your work, making it way more high quality and more likely to be accepted in whatever journal you're submitting it to. SCiNiTO can also help researchers find the latest trends in their field by either the search option and filtering by year of the work submitted, or asking the AI questions of what the latest trends in your specific subject or area might be. You can be caught up on that, and it can immensely help find gaps that you could be researching in your field, and just in general immensely help the literature review and gathering processes of research and writing an article. Now, I put here keyword suggestions. What I mean by that is that the AI chat can actually recommend keywords for you based on your topic that could potentially improve the visibility of the article that you are writing in search engines or journal databases. I actually have an example of this that I worked with SCiNiTO, and it gave me some interesting phrases and words and keywords that I'll show you in the demo time. It can also help in citation management. SCiNiTO allows you, whatever article you find, to download its citations in whatever style you wish, or whatever format you wish, which you can then use as in your references part of your article work, right? And as I mentioned as well, it can help avoid even unintentional plagiarism. Unintentional plagiarism is a very real thing. We've actually been hearing examples of it in some of my master's classes that I'm studying translation in, English translation. And it can lead to issues once detected. Of course, the word unintentional is the key word here. You might never have meant to have plagiarized a work, but by chance, your sentences you're writing might be very similar to another work. And this can later on prove problematic because you might not have a way to prove that it was unintentional. But SCiNiTO AI can help check the very large database at its disposal for you to minimize the risk of unintentional plagiarism. now that we've taken a look at SCiNiTO in literature review and assisting research, we'll move on to data analysis and visualization. Now, statistical analysis assistance. By that, I mean that the SCiNiTO AI chat can perform statistical analyses for you. It can interpret results, and it can, most importantly, assist you in the creation of charts and tables and graphs with numbers that it finds throughout its database and gives you reference for. So that can expedite, excuse me, 1 second. Need to grab a quick drink of water. SCiNiTO can assist with giving those statistical information to you, and it can help quicken the process for you. Data insights and trend analysis. I touched on this a little bit, but the AI can help you identify significant trends in your specific area in the large data set, and it can make it easier for you to draw conclusions and identify patterns relevant to your research. And finally, by data visualization, what I mean is those tables and charts and graphs that it can provide you with. I'll actually show you an example of a table. The keywords I mentioned that it dug up for me are represented in a very neat table that I can very quickly access and take a look at. Now that we've taken a look at this, let's move on to journal selection and submission. For this, we actually have a dedicated feature, which is called the Journal Recommender. Based on the title of your article and an abstract that you can give it, the AI can recommend suitable journals for you to submit your work to. Based on various different factors, impact factors, right? Some being more fitting and some being less so. And next up is the formatting. As I mentioned, one of the various issues could be the specific formatting that some journals require. With SCiNiTO AI being a powerful search engine and having the AI chat at your disposal, you can actually find other articles in those journals and take a look at how they may have done and followed those formatting guidelines. And if, for example, their guidelines do not prove sufficient for you, or you still have questions and you need to take a look at examples, SCiNiTO can very quickly give you, find you those. If you can access them or not, obviously depends on whether it's open access or you have a subscription to that journal, right? Now, next up, one more. Drink of water. Excuse me. Next up is the matter of collaboration and workflow management, right? SCiNiTO has some collaborative tools, namely the bookmarking and note features, which I'll show you very quickly as well, and an example that I've made for myself in that. Those can facilitate teamwork for you by being able to have your peers take a look at what works you might be interested in, what you've bookmarked, and what notes you may have added to them to bring to their attention. And they can add further notes, and there are simple tools, but they can prove highly useful. And finally is the language support. We were talking about language barriers being an issue, but the SCiNiTO AI chat actually supports multi-language inquiries. It can provide answers in the language you ask it in the AI chat, and it can help non-native English speakers find the information they are looking for way more easily. Next up, and I believe finally for this bit, we have the post-publication information that it can give you. It can help you track impact metrics of your published work, of course, and let you know how it may be doing in terms of citation, references, and rank. And it can also help your research visibility. With those same keywords, the AI can suggest them for you, and it can help your published work become more visible and in different platforms, right? Maybe socials, any other area, you can find out what keywords might be trendy or might be more successful to follow up on by posting about it or making your work more visible after publication. Some just quickly more uses of SCiNiTO AI as well are these. I thought about these as well. Again, in my master's classes, we need to give a thesis and finally defend it at the very end. One of the biggest challenges of that is choosing what we are going to research. In translation, I need to narrow down what I'm looking for. And maybe there might be a gap there and maybe not, and I need to finally choose what I'm going to research. And SCiNiTO, I'm actually excited for because it can help me do that. It can help me pick what to research. The filtering options can also be very useful. If you have like specific authors or researchers in mind to check or reference for your work, or you want to research in the direction of a, for example, sustainable development goal, or you want to check the publications of a certain organization, or you want to focus your work on more recent or even older works, SCiNiTO AI's filtering options can help you really trickle down the very large database into what you're specifically looking for. And finally, the open access works. As it has indexed over 56, or might be actually more than that now, a million open access works completely so. You can access all of their PDFs with a single click, and that might actually help you push your research forward without having to pay for subscriptions of journals or whatever the case may be. Those were just some of the other uses that I found interesting. Now moving on to those couple of smaller points that I mentioned. The first one is the role of researchers in innovation. If you are going to research, it's been said that a researcher should obviously innovate. That is one of the primary goals. They should contribute to the field that they are researching in. We do not do research for the sake of doing research. But you can do that by testing existing theories, by providing new data, but that would either confirm the previous theories or it might challenge them. But researchers can provide as well reinterpretations of previous research with other theories as well. But to confirm or to challenge, that is the question. And we hope that SCiNiTO AI, by expediting some processes, can make other processes easier or free up your time in areas that you could be giving it to other areas, right? By trying to be innovative, we hope that SCiNiTO AI can also help you reach that. And the focus really is on help. AI in research, it is assistance. It is not a replacement. Researchers will still be spearheading research. However, though it might be an ethically sensitive topic to talk about AI in research, its role is that it cannot be used to conduct research directly. It can just simplify some key processes. And SCiNiTO AI can provide valuable assistance in writing, but not directly writing it for you, but reviewing and submitting papers as well, as we've been taking a look so far into the presentation. And finally, as I mentioned, the ethical use of AI to support research efforts and to make sure that researchers can balance their time and manage it better than ever. But yes, those were some of the interesting points. Now we'll actually be moving on to a little bit of a demo where I'll be showing you some of the work that I've been trying and testing out with SCiNiTO that I found interesting. And I can actually show you what I've been talking about so far. Keep in mind that this will not be a full-on demo of SCiNiTO AI's entire features, step by step. But once again, if you are interested in that, you can check our webinar from last month. Now, if you were to excuse me, I need to share my screen with you. This might take a little bit of time. So just allow me to do that. All right. I believe my screen is being shared right now. So, welcome to SCiNiTO. Um, Now, the things I've done with it, I'll go through the various tabs and show you. But let's actually start with this chat that I had that I logged here. So I basically asked it, I'm writing a paper titled Translation in Media. Can you give me a table of the most relevant keywords when it comes to this topic? Um, then it actually looked through and gave me as many keywords as it could throughout different articles that it has actually referenced for me as well. If I were interested to actually read them or access them, I could. So it started by, audiovisual translation, which translation in media, audiovisual, obviously, media accessibility, subtitling, which is a form of media translation, dubbing as well, technology in general, political discourse, translation policies, electronic texts, urban space and media, and then interdisciplinary research continues on, and it actually references all of those for me. I did not follow up on this, but I could have maybe focused on one of these and asked it further questions, but it lists everything down here for me as well, all the sources that it found, which I can very quickly access and find. Another interesting chat that I actually had with SCiNiTO was this one. I was talking about trends, so I was like, maybe I should actually check. So I asked it, what are the most recent trends being researched on in translation studies? It gave me some answers. For example, something called translator studies, which emphasizes the role of the translator rather than just the translations themselves. I found this interesting. So I actually followed that up by asking it a follow-up question and having it tell me more about translator studies. It was interesting. I will not, read this for you, but I actually invite you to go and check SCiNiTO AI yourself, and you might get some interesting insight from it by asking it questions and follow-ups. It is currently free for individual researchers. With some, limitations with the AI usage. And if you are in an institution and you are interested in SCiNiTO AI and incorporating your own data set into it, actually, you can get in contact with us and we'll be happy to discuss it with you. But yeah, as always, it has listed the sources for me, and some of which are open access, and I can click on this little button here and access the PDF easily. Those were some of the interesting things I was doing with the AI chat. Now let's move on to the search functions, right? I mentioned you might be looking for like some more recent stuff in your field rather than, research from the 90s or the 80s. So I actually came here, I used that same example, translation in media. I filtered it, the published date from 2010 to 2024. I told it the field of studies is translation studies, and took a look at what it found, and it proved interesting. So the first one was introducing translation studies in general, its theories and applications, which can help me maybe apply those to translation in media, and so on and so forth. It found a lot, actually, some of which could be open access, which I can also tell it here. I'm only looking for open access works, and it should be able to search that, right? The name and nature of translation studies, post-colonial translation, that's interesting, and so on and so forth. So the inquiries can, this one is actually somewhat simple when it comes to how in-depth you could get. I could have a specific organization in mind, country, the article type, the author that I was mentioning. I could focus down the publisher, even the venue, and sustainable development goals. But this was just one inquiry that I found interesting, that I followed up on and I wanted to show you. So Continuing on, I can actually now show you the AI recommender. And this is a inquiry that I made with it using that same example. I said the title of my article is Translation in Media, and I gave it a very, very short abstract of this article focuses on newer ways of translating media, such as subtitling, dubbing, and voiceover. That is very simple when it comes to an abstract. You can give it a way more detailed one, and that might yield better results for you. But telling it those, I asked it to give me some recommendations, and it did so. The highest impact journal that it found for me in Q1 is Target International Journal of Translation Studies. It actually also gives me the related articles in that journal. It also gives me some more information here of the SJR rank, the SJR score, the H index as well. I can actually give it feedback too. And I can ask it to show me a little bit more information, its ranking, its OpenAlex information, publisher information, and the various topics discussed in this journal, which might prove interesting to me and what I'm trying to do with translation in media, which is really just an example. But yeah, that was the journal recommender. And as I mentioned, the uses for this aren't just to find a journal that might be suitable for me to submit my work in. Its uses could be finding relevant information in that journal. As we saw, it tells me the various topics. It gives me the link as well, which I can go and check. And it also gives me the related articles. So that can be another use. Its uses are not really limited. They're just limited by your imagination, what you can really find out of it. I can also tell it again, just to give me the open access ones. And finally, I was mentioning some of the collaborative tools that SCiNiTO AI provides and wanted to show you an example that I had made of a project here. So the project system allows you to make a project in which you can add bookmarks and notes. Bookmarks, you can probably guess what they do. I have bookmarked a bunch of articles in here, for example, neural machine translation by jointly learning to align and translate, which I found interesting. So I bookmarked it, and I can very quickly access it without having to search for it, remember its name, and go through a whole process of having to find it again if I wanted to reference back to it. You can actually add notes as well here. So for example, in this article that I just mentioned, very randomly, in page 15, paragraph 2, there is useful information, but you can put the information here, you can link to it, and your peers who you may have added. For example, I'm the only one in this project right now, but I can very quickly come here, do edit, and I can actually add my colleagues or whoever might be on the platform to it. It'll send them an invite and they can quickly join, take a look at what I've bookmarked and what I've noted, and we can collaborate together on the scientific work. That is all I had to show you. Once again, I suggest and recommend that you can go use SCiNiTO yourself, its various features, and take a look at it for yourself. Maybe it could help you with whatever you might be researching on right now, or it could just be fun. The AI chat can give some very interesting answers sometimes. But that does bring us to the end of the demo. So if you'll actually excuse me, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'll bring up the presentation again so that we can continue where we left off. Just 1 second. So now it is time for the Q&A session. We are nearing the end of our time together, I am sorry to say, but before we go, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions anyone might have put in the Q&A part. Let's see if I can answer them. I will pre-apologize in case I cannot answer some of your more technical questions, but if you have any questions like that that we can't get to today, feel free to get in contact with us. We can get you in contact with our tech team as well. If you have any specific requests or interests in the platform, we can accommodate that for you. let me go ahead and open up here. Let's see. So first question I see here is, what data sources do we use? SCiNiTO AI is actually based on OpenAlex, which is a very large database. Those numbers that I mentioned having been indexed by that, and SCiNiTO providing the tools to look through them with various AI, the general recommender, the AI chat, the search engine. So it is based on OpenAlex. If you've heard of OpenAlex, you know what I'm talking about. But also, SCiNiTO has the ability, as I mentioned, to incorporate and integrate your own subscription list and your own local data source very easily. And that can expand your reach of information. Then the AI chat and the journal recommender and everything can look through that data set as well and give you answers based on those. Again, it gives its answers based on the data set it has at its disposal, right? What languages do we support? This is a very good question, actually. I'm not sure if it's limited. The AI, we've tested here and there. I think it managed to answer very well in Chinese even. I'm assuming it can support a lot of other languages. The AI chat can really give you that information in the language you ask a question in. I haven't tested this myself so far, so I don't know really if there is a limit to it. But I recommend going and checking in your maybe native language, asking it a question, seeing it if it can provide answers for you. Let's see. What's next? What is the journal recommender tool? Can you shed some light on that one, please? I touched on it a little bit, and I showed you the tool in action a little bit as well. I'll provide another explanation and definition of it too. I also recommend you use it for yourself and see. But the journal recommender, as its name suggests, it obviously recommends journals by you providing it the title of a work that you're working on, you're writing for your own research and scientific work, and providing the abstract. It can recommend the most relevant journals to that article, right? The uses of those really depend on you, but one of the main ones that we were thinking about as well when designing this too is submitting your work to them. If it can find a very relevant journal for you of the work that you've told it, then you can get in contact with them, go through the submission process. But as I mentioned and showed you today here as well, that doesn't have to be the only use. By finding very relevant journals, you could gain more information, more references in your literature review process, and so on and so forth. I hope that answers that. Somebody has asked, what are more advanced searches? Again, I touched on this a little bit as well. It depends on how advanced you want to get to it, right? And how specific and down to the point you want to go. In the beginning of your research process, you might just broadly be looking for just anything that can really help you and give you information. But as you go through your research process, you might want to narrow down what you're looking for. You might want to look for very, very recent works, and your focus might be on that, or focus of part of your research might be on that. So you can filter it by, 2023 and 2024. Or you've, across your time researching, have come across a very interesting researcher or author that is either proving some of your points or challenging them, or vice versa, you're proving some of their theories or challenging them. And you can take a look at some of their other works. Maybe they've worked in other areas that could give you different context into how they think and how they work. and that could give you some insight as you're researching and going forward. Let's see. Sorry, I lost where I was in the Q&A. It's a lot of questions. Let's see. Okay, found it. Let's see. Is there any link to test and try the journal selection tool? By that, I think you mean the journal recommender, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it should be up on SCiNiTO.ai, app.SCiNiTO.ai. I'll show you at the very end of this webinar the link as well. But you can go ahead and try it. You can try the AI chat as well. Should be free right now with some limits to the usage. And you could try it out for yourself. Hope that answers that. Can I subscribe to journal selection only? How much does it cost? Can we see a demo for it now? By that, you could get in contact with us, with our sales team. We could talk. If you only want unlimited usage of that, we could work out something for you. If you don't want to integrate your own subscriptions or your own data set, or you're not interested in other areas of it, we can definitely talk. You can get in contact with us and we'll be delighted to speak with you and have a discussion on it. Another question is, also taking a look at the time here, our time is limited, unfortunately. It says, can I save my researches? I'm not sure exactly what that means. I can think of a couple different things you can search or save when it comes to your searches. The AI chat actually logs whatever conversation you have with it. So if you forget to copy that down somewhere, you can access it later and very quickly, take a look at what it has told you, check the references. You can save your you can save notes, make notes in the projects part and the tools that we took a look at there, if you need to do that. If you also mean if you can save your searches, like your search inquiries, you'll have to forgive me on that. I'm not sure. I have not tried it myself. It might be a feature, but you can go ahead and take a look, and maybe you can actually save your very in-depth inquiry that you've worked on, so you can access it later and take a look at all of the list of works that it has brought you or not. Let's see what other questions there are here. Can the recommending tool help in Arabic literature? That is an interesting question. This is something I've not tested myself as well, but if you ask it in Arabic what you're looking for, or specify what you're looking for, it might be able to find works for you. The AI chat, I know, can probably, I can actually definitely find things in Arabic literature for you, and you can ask it in Arabic. And in the search function as well, you can, what is it called? In the search function, you can limit it down to country as well, right? So limit it down to an Arabic country that you're looking for works in, and it can actually provide you only with those. So with that filtering option, you can do that. Seeing one last question here that I touched on a little bit as well. As researchers, can we access all of SCiNiTO AI's features for free? Again, you can access them. There are limits to the usage because we have to bear the load of that with the AI and everything. But if you are interested as an institution or otherwise of unlimited access and incorporating your own data set into it, which might not be accessible with the free usage of SCiNiTO, definitely get in contact with us. We'll be happy to have a discussion with you, and we'll be glad to talk to you and see if we can collaborate. But that brings us to the end of the Q&A section, and thusly brings us to the end of the webinar as well. It has been a delight being with all of you so far. You can scan the QR code and book a meeting with me, actually, as I am the sales representative of SCiNiTO, and we can discuss your unique use cases further. You can shoot me an email. If you have further questions, I'll be happy to answer. You can visit the website and the platform itself, work with it. We also have a little something called the AI assistant on our website. It is in the beta version, fair warning. But if you have a specific question regarding SCiNiTO, you can try asking the AI assistant. I've actually been asking it some questions myself, and it's proven interesting. It provides some very interesting and fun answers. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you for your time. I've been Reza, and one last shout out. We hold these webinars on a somewhat monthly basis. Next week, we'll actually be holding a webinar on Do Exam, and we'll be happy to see you there. You can share with your friends, invite them too. But thank you very much, and till next time, goodbye.